Recording. Okay, perfect. We are recording. Welcome to Redefining Wellness with Jana from Lead Pilates. I'm so excited about this. And yeah, like without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to you, Jana. Thank you for being a part of our Saskatchewan Quits May personal challenge. I'm really looking forward to this evening.
You are welcome. Thank you so much, Bethany. I just noticed that I got a message from my team about someone trying to log in. No, but I think it's good. I'm excited to be here, gang, and I'm going to be with you actually for the next 3 Tuesdays, and we're going to make our way through, we're going to call it a journey. All right. And that's a lot of, that is one of the key ways I like to position health and wellness. Today is all about defining the building blocks of our wellness. And I think we've grown up um, in a society where we might see pictures in a magazine or on a billboard or believe that we have to look a certain way to be healthy. And tonight's session really is all about setting the stage. And you're going to hear me use the term redefine a lot. So when you think about your health and wellness today, where do you want to be at the end of this month, at the end of this year? And I want you to compare that to maybe if you've ever set a New Year's resolution. We often think that health and wellness is today, this is where I am, and then tomorrow I'm going to do something completely different. And I want you to actually put a different set of lenses on when you're thinking um, about your health. So tonight, there's two key concepts that I'm going to be sharing with you. And whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching the recording, what I wanted to do as I was preparing for each of these 4 sessions this month is give you strategies that do 2 things: cost you nothing, $0, maybe a few minutes a day, so maybe some time, and are really easy to implement. All right. So, number one, the first of the 2 concepts I want to introduce this evening. So, we have trillions of cells that make us who we are. All right. And we hear so much these days about self care. We need to be, caring for our mind, body, and spirit. But I actually want you to think of self care and redefine it as cell care. So CELL care. And if we actually care for the trillions of cells that make us who we are, the outcome of that is a level of health and wellness, vitality, energy, a good night's sleep that maybe we've never experienced before. All right. So when you think about your cells, I want you to think about them like gas tanks, the gas tank in your vehicle. What happens when you get on low fuel? That little orange light or red light will turn on, and it will remind you that the next time you're driving by a gas station, you should drive in and fill up, right? So if we take that idea of filling up our gas tank, then what is the equivalent with our cells? Well, it's actually oxygen. All right. So when we breathe properly, we can take in up to 600% more oxygen than when we're just breathing in a very mindless way. And so, actually, in this session, we're really going to dissect breathing. And you might think, like, Jana, why do we have to dissect breathing? It's just something that automatically happens. And yeah, I don't disagree with you. However, there is a main muscle, one key muscle in our body that most of us, I'm going to say like over 95% of people do not breathe properly. And what happens is those trillions of cells are literally on low fuel all the time. How many of you get up after a seemingly okay or good night's sleep, and by mid morning, you are yawning and you have brain fog, and maybe you can't remember where you put your keys or your phone, or did I send that email? Okay. That is not, you're actually not tired in the sense of oh, I could lay down and go to sleep. What that actually is your body responding to a lack of oxygen. So when our brain isn't properly oxygenated, we're going to have that tired feeling. We're going to have that brain fog feeling. And so many of us, that becomes our norm. And we go through our days in this little bit of a haze because our cells know no different. Okay. So, what is the fix? I'm going to just tip my screen for a second so you guys can see. I'm going to just show you on my body. So, if you feel your rib cage, those of you that are on the call live or watching, if you feel your ribs, okay, you feel how the ribs kind of make a dome shape. There's a really important muscle that lines the ribs, and it's called your diaphragm. All right. So many of us actually breathe like fish. And that's oftentimes what I call some of my loving clients is I call them my fish breathers because we breathe with these little muscles in our neck, just like having gills, like a fish has gills. Okay. The problem becomes that these little muscles have a job already. Their job is to hold our head on top of our body. All right. So now we're asking these little muscles, and they kind of are like beef jerky. Okay. There's one group called the scalenes and one group called the sternocleidomastoid. So if you make when Hulk turns green and gets mad, you see those muscles in his neck. Okay. Those are the sternocleidomastoids. And when we actually use our neck to breathe, um, you create unnecessary stress and tension in through your neck, your jaw, and your upper back. So if you're someone that is just so excited about you're going for a massage, but then 24, 48 hours later, you're all jacked up again. The reason that's happening is your therapist has released those muscles, but your habitual patterning is that you actually are using these secondary breathing muscles as your primary breathing muscle, and they're on 24/7. So it's only a matter of time before those muscles get tight again. All right. So, how do you properly breathe? It's a complete inhale through your nose, like you're smelling. Imagine that your favorite person that loves to bake, just pulled an apple pie out of the oven, and you lean over the apple pie and you take a big whiff of that fresh baked apple pie. So you inhale through your nose, and you inhale until you kind of fill your belly with air. So you want to fill your torso, which feels kind of counterintuitive to how we breathe, right? Normally, especially women, we try and keep our torso as narrow as possible, right? So we inhale through our nose, and then we exhale out of our mouth, and our ribs kind of melt inward. Everything melts inward. Okay. So the ribs almost become like this accordion. Okay. Or a big fan. That's what happens. So you inhale through your nose and you exhale out of your mouth, and it makes a sound. It's like an HA. Okay. The jaw relaxes. And what's happening in this process, gang, is you're actually taking in big doses of oxygen. Remember a few minutes ago, I said there's a way that we can breathe that takes in 600% more oxygen. That's exactly what it is. So now our cells that are struggling for vitality because they're almost suffocating, when you give them these big doses of oxygen, they're going to start to flourish. Now, here's a couple of things. This is one of your, I don't want to call it homework because if you don't love doing homework, you're not going to do it. But I want you to practice this tool between now and next Tuesday. And here's why. Over the next 7 days, when you do this breathing, and you'll do it like 10 to 12 times in the morning when you wake up, midday, and in the evening, you might get kind of lightheaded. All right. And that lightheadedness is actually a physiological response to taking in those big gulps of oxygen. Pretend that I handed you a water bottle. let's say it was a liter of water. And I said, all right, Eric, okay, Florence, okay, Bethany, okay, Dawn, I want you guys to guzzle this liter of water. And I don't want you to stop. Don't stop tipping that bottle until you drink the whole liter of water. All right. And then if we went for a walk, that water would be sloshing in our stomach. Okay. So when you are taking in those big doses of water, when you're breathing diaphragmatically, it's like taking in those big doses of oxygen. When your brain has become used to functioning with less oxygen, when you take in those big gulps, you are going to feel lightheaded. Okay. So I'm going to ask you not to practice this while you're driving over the next few days. Make sure you're safely at home. But I want you to practice this because going from that lightheadedness to next Tuesday, you still might be a little lightheaded. Sometimes for someone that is very oxygen deprived, it could take them up to a month to actually raise their oxygen stores to a level where you're feeling alert and energetic for the majority of your day. Okay. So I hope that you guys can start to see where you and I are going on this journey. I could have started talking to you about exercise and movement and different ways that you can get your heart rate up. But if we're not looking at the fundamental, the foundational pieces of our wellness, it doesn't matter how far you walk, how many push ups you do, those things really do not matter. And as we're redefining health and wellness, this is what's key. And remember, I said two things: this isn't going to cost you anything, and it's not going to take much time. So that's what I'm that's the first concept here, is that inhaling through your nose and exhaling out of your mouth. Now, as you are a part of this program, I also understand that you are going through your own journey of health and wellness and, smoking cessation. And I want you to understand that you might not feel overly successful today or tomorrow or on Thursday with this deep breathing. You might feel shallow in your breathing, that you can't get all that air into your body. And you know what, gang, I want to tell you that what I do today, in running my Pilates studio and my integrated health therapies clinic, that was part of my journey from coming out of a very unhealthy phase of my own life when I was in my early 20s. So I need you to understand that we cannot judge a book by its cover. Everybody does have a story. And it's, for me, I turn my mess into my message. And that's what I have today. My body doesn't look drastically different than it did 20 years ago, but I can tell you with 100% confidence that with my boys at age 16, 18, and 20, I, as a mom, can keep up with them way better than I could when they were 2, 4, and 6. Okay. So I'm saying this and I'm sharing this to make sure that you give yourself some grace, because when I walked into my first Pilates class and I couldn't do this breathing, the first thing that my brain wanted to do was get me the heck out of that class. The second thing that it wanted me to do was stay, because I was intrigued why the simple physiological action of breathing was not happening in a smooth and easy way. All right. So let me help you understand, once your brain gets oxygenated, all right, if you do have a dip in energy mid morning or mid afternoon, we as habitual creatures will reach for maybe a cup of coffee, maybe an energy drink. Maybe we add some, Gatorade into our water to flavor it, whatever it might be, because we're looking for that quick high, right? Because when we're dipping, we want that fast burst of energy. So, as we are rewiring and redefining what health and wellness means for you, I want you to, if it's going to work into your life, and I hope it does, I'm not saying don't grab that cup of coffee or don't grab that energy drink, because that's that all or nothing approach that usually results in maybe not getting the outcomes that we were looking for. What I'm saying is, I want you to try your breathing first. So do those 10 to 12 deep cleansing breaths It is going to give you more energy. And if you're inside your house or your office working, try and do that now. It's so beautiful outside. Get some fresh air. Maybe you're still going to grab your coffee or your energy drink, but maybe you're only going to have half of it. And if you're choosing to do that, enjoy it. Enjoy the warmth of the cup in your hands. Enjoy the fizziness of that energy drink if that's what you're choosing. Because so often, gang, I hear people around me and they'll use the words of wagon, right? I've used the word I'm off the wagon, I'm on the wagon. And I'm telling you today that there is no wagon, there is just a journey. And sometimes that journey might feel muddy, and sometimes that journey might be like a newly paved road. But regardless, it's choices every single day. So something as simple as breathing can make a drastic difference to you during the day. And when you lay your head in your pillow on your pillow at nighttime, that is where the magic really does happen, because you have had a day where your body has been properly oxygenated, and then when you lay down at night, that restorative sleep can really happen. Is it going to happen overnight? Absolutely not. Okay, but I'm telling you, by the time we come together on the fourth Tuesday of this month, if you layer these tools and hints and tricks and tips that I'm teaching you, that you will feel different. I can guarantee you that transformation in those 4 weeks. Okay. So breathing is number one. Now, I am going to put in the chat actually. I have a my website is metadistrict.com. And if you go to this website, you guys, I've got 3 free videos. One of those videos is 11 minutes on diaphragmatic breathing. So I'm not going to spend any more time on diaphragmatic breathing tonight. And for those of you watching the recording, it's metadistrict.com. So it's METTA and then the word district, district.com. And you're, as soon as you get to the site, you're going to see here, get your 3 free videos here. All right. And spend the time watching that 11-minute video, because I actually take you through a very, like a long, well, 6 minutes. Okay. We have 6 minutes together of deep inhalation and deep exhalation. And that's where you're going to get better and better and better at it. And I want to add this before I move on to the second hint and tip for tonight. Our diaphragm is actually a muscle. So for those of you who maybe who exercise or are getting back to exercise, and you think like, oh, I got to do my cardio, I got to do some weight training, whatever, how many of us have ever woken up in the morning and are like, it's diaphragm day, let's go, right? Not many of us. I hope you eventually do, because every day should be diaphragm day. Our diaphragm is a muscle, and like any other muscle in our body, when we do not properly use that muscle functionally, we start to lose function. Or you might hear a physiotherapist or a chiropractor or a massage therapist say that muscle is dysfunctional. Okay, it's not doing its job. And so the other cool thing we know is that from new neuroplasticity research, we actually can rewire our brain. And some areas of the brain can actually get rewired in as little as 16 weeks. That's 4 months, you guys. So where are we? Begin May, June, July, August. By the time September long weekend rolls around, that brain can have a different set of lenses as we go through our activities of daily living. And that's really cool to think, right? That we can actually impact that change with small, simple shifts every single day that yield big results. So spend some time with that video. Next week, I'll make sure to allot a little bit of time for questions so we can make sure that we're always adding and adding and adding layers to our learning together. Okay. So that is my first building block for this evening. Now, because of my delayed earlier call, if you're cool with it, I'm going to go 10 more minutes to give you the whole half an hour. If you have to jump off, please watch the last 10 minutes of the recording, because the second building block is just as important as proper breathing. I didn't bring it with me. So, hydration. All right. Hydration is another fundamental building block for our health and wellness. Gang, if our tissues are not properly hydrated, the tissues of our organs, our muscular tissue, our fascial tissue, the sheaths of our nerves, all of our tissues are meant to glide. And that's why I'm actually making this, movement with my hands. The reality is, because we are a society that is dehydrated and over caffeinated, those tissues actually are like Velcro. Okay. Now, here's what happens. And we're going to dive into this actually more in week 3, but I want to intro it now. When we, or I'll say it this way, dehydration sets in when we're 98% hydrated. Okay, I'm going to say that again. So, dehydration starts setting in when we're 98% hydrated. And you might be like, what? Like, if I was writing a test, I would take 98% as my mark. Yes, all day. However, when it comes to water and hydration, 2% dehydration already starts to impact your body. Those trillions of cells, your movement, your sleep, what you choose to eat, all of those things, because thirst is very critical to our health and wellness. Okay. So let me paint this picture. By the time your thirst mechanism kicks in and tells your brain, I'm thirsty, can you grab some water? You are already dehydrated. And I also want to tell you, not that I want to be the bearer of bad news, but it takes about 7 days of consistent hydration for you to properly get your hydration levels to where they need to be. Okay. So if you are like, I am on this tonight and tomorrow, right? And then you kind of forget about it on Thursday, and then Friday you're like, oh, I didn't have my water. And so you're back on it, right? That up and down is actually not going to yield you a bunch of different impact in your body. The other thing I want to mention is, if you're not a water drinker, let's talk about that, right? I have so many clients that have been like, I don't like the taste of water. And I was like, I don't particularly like going to the dentist either, but it's one of those things that like, I want to have good teeth for the rest of my life. So, if you've chosen in your brain that you don't like water and you say those words, I don't like water, you're probably not going to like water. All right. But if you reframe it and if you really understand what water is doing for your body, it is a drastic boost when it comes to the way our body functions, our immunity, all of that. All right. So what can you do? You can get these water bottle, or you don't even have to get a fancy water bottle that diffuses fruit. You can throw some berries in a big mason jar, put it in your fridge, and your water will have a berry type flavor. You can squeeze lemon. Sometimes if I don't have fresh lemon, I take my lemon essential oil and I put 2 or 3 drops in my water bottle. There's ways that you can, change the taste. A lot of people don't realize this, but pink Himalayan sea salt is amazing in water because it gives us some really key trace minerals that we tend to be lacking. And if you guys try this. It actually changes the texture of your water in your mouth. Like, it feels like silk. Like, it actually does. Water will just slide down your throat in a different way. So when I have like a 500 milliliter water bottle, and I just have my pink Himalayan sea salt in like one of those turny salt shaker things. So I just turn it 3 times in my hand, and I just put the salt in my water bottle and I shake it. That's exactly what I do, Jen. Well, what would it be? It would be like 3 turns. I'm gonna say it's probably like probably like a quarter teaspoon in my 500 milliliters. But try it, you guys. I learned that from a holistic nutritionist friend of mine. And yeah, yeah, absolutely. Give it a try. So that's the first thing you need to understand, is that when your body is already thirsty, it's time, because you're already in that state of dehydration. Now, and I think Jennifer, when we met, maybe I even told you about this hydration pyramid. I'm not sure, but I'm going to go over it again tonight. I want you to visualize a pyramid. Okay. At the top of the pyramid is our brain. Our brain is the first organ to get hydrated. So, you guys, if you tend to get low grade headaches at your eyebrow line, at your hairline, or that sensation where your forehead is like sinking into your head, you're dehydrated. Okay. So, I really want to encourage you to understand our body is an amazing communicator. Like clear, concise, to the point, the most dreamy communicator we could ever wish for. We are just not good at all at listening. And whether we're disconnected from our body just because it hasn't been a priority or because we don't know what we're looking for, whatever it is, it's never too late to start connecting. So here's what I can tell you: those low grade headaches, try not to reach for that over the counter medication tomorrow because it's just a band aid. Try and get some hydration in. Now, how much water? I get asked this all the time. And you can go, like, there's apps even that you can track your water. You can calculate your body weight and it'll tell you exactly how much water you need for your body. Honestly, you guys, I just go by the old adage of like 8 glasses of water a day. For me, I like getting 4 of my swell bottles in. So 500 mils between 4 and 6. Now, here's my um, plea. If you're not a water drinker, don't start guzzling 2 liters of water starting tomorrow. Because guess what? You've got an organ, it's called your bladder, and it's not going to love you very much. And you're not going to keep up with it because you're going to be running to the bathroom 25 times a day and you're going to be like, this is ridiculous. All right. So start slow. If you're not a water drinker, drink a cup of water tomorrow and drink it first thing in the morning. Because when you drink your water first thing in the morning, you wake up your thirst mechanism and you start to hydrate your brain and you're going to get those processes going subconsciously without you even knowing about it. Okay. Going back to our pyramid, once our brain is hydrated, the center part of the pyramid are your vital organs. So, your bladder, your stomach, your lungs, your gallbladder, small intestine, large intestine, kidneys, all those things that function for us during the day, that is the second part of the pyramid. So, you guys, if your brain isn't even getting hydrated and you live in that low grade headache world, your organs are like a desert. And you know what the bottom of the pyramid is? Your muscles, your bones, your joints, your fascial tissue. So if you're someone who, if you love to golf, but you've got this darn golfer's elbow, or you have plantar fasciitis that has been bothering you off and on all winter, and you are not a water drinker, I'm going to promise you those little aches and pains are not if, but they are going to become chronic because you are not setting up your environment in your body for healing. The inflammation is going to just love it because the tissues, the hydration um, is not going to be there, okay, at all. So, those are my two building blocks, you guys: oxygenation and hydration. If you understand how you can make those little tweaks, you will absolutely feel different by the time we touch base again in 7 days. Okay. So, whether you're someone who needs to put pen to paper and write a little commitment statement to yourself, or on a sticky note on your fridge or on your mirror in the morning, I have to trick my brain all the time with little things like that. But it keeps me on track and it becomes a habit. Um, I want to tell you one little piece of research. We've all heard that it takes 21 days to build a habit, right? What I learned on a call I was on about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 months ago was that the initial research in social psychology that reported those outcomes was actually misinterpreted. All right. So, what the research says, and there was some new research done 2 years ago, published in the UK Journal of Social Psychology, is that it takes on average, or it takes between 18 and 158 days to build a habit. 18 to 156 days, sorry. Okay. The median of that is 71 days. So if we think that we're going to make drastic changes in 21 days, we are setting ourselves up for disappointment. Some people can do it in 18. Some people need 156. Most of us need at least 71. All right. When I learned that, it opened up my eyes to such a different perspective. Okay. Our society has become so immediate. The 21-day fill in the blank, cleanse, all these things, right? We want results now. And that's not sustainable. You guys, this is like a marathon. Okay. And a marathon that we can train for, that we can absolutely cross the finish line and be successful. If we think about small and steady changes that you can make every day, those choices, picking up that water bottle. And I do want to tell you that 8 or 16 ounces of coffee or anything caffeinated. So if you like caffeinated tea or coffee, you can count 16 ounces towards your hydration. So 2 cups. So enjoy those 2 cups and use them strategically throughout your day. Anything more than 16 ounces that caffeine becomes a diuretic. Now we have to drink more water to offset the extra dehydration that the caffeine is creating in our body. Okay. So breathing, go and get those 3 free videos. Water in whatever form, warm, hot, cold, I don't care. Start to hydrate, because next week we're going to be moving on to some new concepts, and we're going to layer, we're going to layer, we're going to layer. And you're going to be like, your body is going to be, I like to say this to my clients, your body is going to be smarter in less than a month. And if your body is smarter, your mind is going to be smarter. And now you have the makings of making some really amazing changes in your life. All right. Are there any questions? I see Jennifer's been adding some comments throughout. Are there any questions before we say goodbye? Or Bethany, do you have anything to kind of wrap tonight's session?
I can wait and see if there's any questions. I'll hold off just 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you all for joining us. Jana, thank you so much. Like, you're right, it's very simple things, but it isn't always easy. So I think if we're gentle with ourselves and we can just kind of, set those reminders in whatever way works for us. I'm really looking forward to practicing my breathing and definitely drinking more water, because I know that I'm never fully hydrated. I could always be drinking more. So I really look forward to next week. Thank you for those of you who joined us tonight. For those of you watching the recording, hopefully you're able to join us next week, Tuesday at 8:15. Jana, thanks again so much, and hope everybody has a wonderful evening. If anybody has any questions, you can send them to me. Most of you have my email, and I can forward them along to Jana. I think if that works, or you can come next week and ask questions next week as well.
Absolutely. Or you can let you guys too, Bethany, I'm happy. Like, if my email is info@mettadistrict.com, so METTA district.com, I can actually put it in the chat. That I actually check this email every single day. So please, and you guys do reach out, okay? Because even though some of these concepts sound super simple, all right, there's some of that, like, what did you say about that? Is that, did I hear you correctly? Is that what you said? So please check in, because I always say information is empowering, and that's what we want to do. We want to inspire and empower and create amazing impact in this world.
Awesome. Amazing. And so, the email is in the chat. We'll also include it maybe in our weekly email that goes out in the next week or so. So thanks again. I hope everybody has a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good night.